Slide, and today we will discuss language and communication. Functionalist view of language is that language is for communication. So functionalist, they believe that language is a tool through which we can communicate with each other. But here we are not discussing language as a tool, but we will look at human communication and how human communication is different from animal communication. We all know that human beings are blessed with at least one language. We know more than one language, so we are multilingual, but in many countries there is only one language is spoken. So we will see whether animals, they can also communicate with each other, whether animals, do they have any language. So all such things we will look at in today's presentation. Now, first of all, we need to understand the relationship between language and communication. Previously, we have discussed a concept of sign given by Ferdinand de Saussure. And we also discussed that in sign, we have inherently a signifier and a signified. Signifier and signified both are psychological entities. When we say psychological entities, that means they are related to mind. Signifier is the spoken image that we have of a sound in our mind, and signified is the concept that is associated with that particular image that we have. So language is a set of so many signs. They interact with each other, and we have seen how they interact with each other, because according to Saussure, we have two types of semantic relationships: syntagmatic and paradigmatic. And because of that relationship, we are able to communicate with each other. So we can say language is a set of signs or signals, and these signals, they continuously interact with each other, and we communicate. So you can consider sign as a single word, and how one word interacts with another word, and this process goes on continuously, and we able to communicate with each other. Now, if you observe my speaking, then you will find that what I am doing actually, I am producing words, and a flow of words is continuously I am making, and your mind is deciphering those flow of words, and you are able to understand the meaning that is associated in that. So we will proceed further, and the question arises that can other species communicate too? Other species, we are talking about other mammals, insects, and alike. So when it comes to communication, then the answer is yes. Other species also communicate with each other. So let's take the example of honeybee. Honeybee communicates about honey and new hive. Now, honeybee performs a special dance, and that dance is understood by other honeybees, and then they able to know about honey, where honey is located, and new hive that is there. So this is the way through which they communicate. Now you need to understand that communication and language, they are two different words, and two different concepts are associated with these words. So to answer this question, can other species communicate too? Answer is yes. Now let's take the example of chimpanzee. Now chimpanzee is another species, but chimpanzees are also mammals. Chimpanzees use vocalizations to warn danger, to signal the finding of food, or to indicate mating. So these three things are there: warning for danger, then to indicate mating, and to find food. So in a way, chimpanzees, they also communicate with each other. Now let's take another species, that is fish, and here we will take example of dolphins. So the question is, can dolphins communicate too? Yes, dolphins can communicate, and what they communicate actually, they inform each other about food, danger, and how do they do that? They whistles and clicks. So in a way, they also communicate with each other. But how communication that is done by human beings is different from other species. Human beings communicate and animals also communicate. So human languages do not differ in essence from animal communication. Now, essence is we want to convey our message. That is the essence of communication. You want to convey your message to the receiver. You are the sender, and you are sending some message to your receiver. If your receiver receives those messages, then the communication is done. So we can say that in essence, this word essence is important. In essence, there is no difference. Other species, they also communicate. Human beings, they also communicate. Then what is so special about language? Because we communicate through language. The difference is of degree. Through language, we can communicate with each other with a large degree of messages we can make, and other species, they can only make few signs, few signals, and they can only pass few messages. Let's say chimpanzees, so they can make, let's say, a few hundred messages. uh, let's say honeybee honeybees, they can make, let's say, under 100 messages. Like dolphins, they can also make a couple of hundred messages, not more than that. But human beings, they can make infinite number of sentences. And as you know that in a standard dictionary, there are thousands of words that are there. So we combine those words, we make a phrase. We combine phrases, we make a clause. We combine clauses, we make a sentence. And we can make thousands of, as I said, infinite number of propositions, sentences during a lifetime. So this thing is quite important, that through human language we can communicate, but this communication is quite different from other species in terms of degree, not in essence. Now, if you try to find out the difference that is there between human language and animal communication, because we can't use the term animal language, because animals, they do not have any language. They simply make certain sounds, certain gestures, and they convey their meanings. So when we compare human language and animal communication, we find that human language is quite flexible, but animal communication is fixed. So if a dog is happy, then what a dog will do? Dog will wag its tail. So wagging the tail, that the dog will do. Now it's not the case that only Indian dog will wag its tail, but all the dogs that are there in this globe, they will wag their tail. So that's why we can say that animal communication is fixed. Let's say if you want to greet someone in India, generally we do namaste. If you want to greet someone, let's say in in UK or in England, then you shake hand. If you want to greet someone in French, then generally they uh, they kiss on your cheek. So this is like greeting is one thing, but it is quite flexible. Different cultures, they have different uh, different ways of greeting. So this is just one example I am giving. But if you take words, then in each language there are different words. So in Hindi we have namaste, in English we have hi, hello, fine. So again, like word wise, we have this difference as well. So we can say human language, it's quite flexible, but it is not only the way namaste is one way. We can greet people with other ways as well. Now human language is complex, animal communication is simple. So again, why human language is complex? Because first thing is there are thousands of words in a dictionary. Not only thousands of words, but they can combine with each other and they can make thousands of phrases, thousands of clauses, and infinite number of sentences when we combine them. So in that manner, human language is complex. If I say John loves Mary, I am using three words: John, loves, and Mary. And you know what is the meaning, that there is one person named John, and this person named John loves a person named Mary. But if I change the order of the word, and words will remain same, and if I say Mary loves John, then the meaning is changed. Then the meaning is there is a person named Mary, and now Mary loves John. It has also a meaning that Mary loves John. It doesn't mean that John also loves Mary. Or when you say John loves Mary, it doesn't mean that Mary also loves John. So in that manner, you have this human language, and human language is quite complex. This is just one example to show. Now, when it comes to honeybee dance, and let's say honeybee is informing other bees about a new hive, a nectar, then what honeybee will do? Honey will dance in a shape like eight, like the number eight. The honeybee will start dancing in that. So it's like very simple. So it's like, it's not like that sometimes honeybee will dance in eight, and then sometimes honeybee is dancing in some other rectangular or some other let's say triangle shape. It's not the case. So it's like one one dance, one meaning. It's like one to one connection that is there. But this is not the case in the human language. If I say bird, then it is not the case that all of you are thinking about sparrow. There is a possibility that some of you might be thinking about parrot, pigeon, crow, and there is a possibility that no one is thinking about ostrich, no one is thinking about penguin. So this is the way, and uh, this is the way we can say that human language is quite complex. Precision and less precision. Now when we say something, then we try to be more precise. So when we try to be more precise, that means we want to convey one meaning. For example, I'm going to the bank. Now this bank is an ambiguous word, because the word bank has two meaning. One is a financial institution, and other meaning is a river bank. So so if there is a possibility that you live in a place where financial bank is also near you and river bank is also near you, and you, when you say this utterance, I'm going to the bank, then there is a possibility that another person will ask, a river bank or a financial bank? Then you will say, no, no, I'm going to financial bank. So that precision is there, and for that precision, context always helps to find out the accurate meaning. But certain amount of ambiguity is also there. Then human language is productive. And why human language is productive? Because as I said, like we can make infinite number of sentences out of finite number of words. Because the words that are there in a dictionary, you can count. But when you combine those words, then you can make infinite number of sentences. And that is the way you can make you can say that human language is productive. And there is one more meaning that is associated with the word productive, that is you can make novel sentences that you have not heard previously. I give you one sentence that I hope that you would not have heard it previously. Yesterday I saw a dinosaur in my garage. Now this is a new sentence. So uh, there is a possibility that you might not have heard about of this sentence, that I'm telling you that yesterday I saw a dinosaur in my garage. Now you might wonder that how can I saw a dinosaur? There is a possibility that I am talking about a toy dinosaur, or there is the possibility that I am talking about a picture that's someone has painted of dinosaur. So, and how the meaning will clear, again the context will come into play. So again, likewise you can make any number of sentences which are quite new, quite novel, and the listener is first time hearing those sentences. Contrary to this, animal communication is not productive. So as I said, like honeybee uh, cannot make a new dance and say, okay, now I am the inventor of new dance. So all the honeybees, they will make this 8 shaped dance if they have found a new hive. So that information is very much fixed. They can't do anything, any other productivity related to that. So likewise, we have lots of games associated with the physical activities that we do. We have cycling, we have swimming. So it's not the case that one dolphin is telling other dolphins, look, I have invented new way how to swim. So that way human communication, or I have discovered new way how to click. And now onwards, this click means this thing. So in this manner, animal communication is not productive. So humans, they have learned to make infinite use of finite means. What does it mean? That we have finite number of phrases, words, and out of those finite phrases and words, we can make infinite number of sentences. Animal can make finite use of finite means. So they have finite a set of activities, symbols, vocalizations, clicks, and they can only use those. They can't invent new. They can't make a variation in them. Now, when we compare human communication with animal communication, such type of questions also come into being. And what is this? Does my dog really understand what I am saying? The answer is no. So there is a possibility that when you are happy, then dog starts wagging its tail. But it's not the case that you start explaining your dog what happened in your office. So dog will not understand. Dog will only understand that you are happy, you are sad, you are telling something, you are joyful, you are becoming naughty, you want to play, you are angry. So such expressions dog can guess. But if you start telling your dog in detail about your colleague, about about a person whom you love, then dog will not understand such things. So the answer to this question, does my dog really understand what I am saying? Here the word saying is important. I'm not saying that my expression, yeah, your expression dog can read, but only few, like sorrow, joy, depressed, pain, fine, all such dog can guess, but not what you are saying. And We also find an answer to this question from Charles Hockett's design features of language. So we will see what are those design features of language. So Charles Hockett, in his book A Course in Modern Linguistics, published in 1958, posited design features. Now, what are design features? These design features, they characterize human language. That means they talk about human language, what human language is and what human language is not. And not only that, these design features, they distinguish from other communication systems. What are other communication systems? Like human beings, they also use other communication systems like traffic signal. Traffic signal is also one type of communication that we have. Gestures, like if I make a gesture like this, then this is a sign of victory. If I make a gesture like this, then it's a sign of good luck. And if I make a gesture like this, then it's like, okay, you are looking good, you are looking good, or everything is okay. If I make a gesture like this, then not okay. So human beings, they also use other communication system. Let's say when you work on laptop, then you are interacting with a machine. You want to type something, then you need to open a document file, you need to type, and then you can communicate. You can, and then you need to save it. Fine, you need to make a folder if you want to save it in some specific folder. So that type of communication also exists. When you play, then again playing is also a communication system. For example, you are playing cards. So in a card, there are certain rules that you need to follow. And why generally do we play? We play for entertainment, but we also play for winning and losing. So you know that when you play, and why a play interests you, because one party will win, another party will lose. And it's commonsensical that no one plays for losing, everyone wants to win. So playing is another communication system. When you eat, then eating is also communication system. Like if you go to a five-star hotel, or if you go to any place, then you know that how should I behave. You can't jump on each and every food. You need to wait for your turn, and you can't eat very hurriedly when like so many people are sitting around you. So these are communication systems. Like human beings, they are surrounded by different communication systems, but those communication systems, how they are different from the language use, the language that we use uh, with one another. So we will discuss these design features in detail in next class. I stop here, and if you have any doubt or any question, then you can raise.